Hello, warriors, and welcome to Story Time with me. Again, I'm so happy to be able to give you guys a deeper dive into my life and my journey and, just some of where I'm coming from, right? So that you can truly understand that, look, I understand this thing, I know this thing very, very well. And also, again, like I mentioned before, I think in my other story time, I feel like sometimes when we're speaking in concepts and, we're being very academic, we're speaking about the research, some of that can be difficult or overwhelming, and so it's certainly helpful for someone to just sit down and just talk to you about their life. And, hopefully in me doing that, you guys also get to see, for yourselves, whether or not you are in a situation that is similar, that requires, a call to action from you, or, that requires you to kind of take life into your hands and do what needs to be done. So today's story time is going to be about a particular kind of abuse that is, not too many people talk about it, but in all honesty is some of the most harmful forms of abuse, and that is financial abuse in the hands of these toxic, abusive people. Like, it is what it is, right? So, guys, I'm going to try to walk you through some of the ways in which this presented in the marriage that I was in. I'll give a brief overview, and then I will give like 3 concrete examples that just kind of shows like the different flavors and the ways in which these things can present. So come along for the ride, y'all. I'm ready. I hope you're ready too. So guys, like, where do we begin? As usual, I feel like I always have to start with that. Where do we really, really begin when we're talking about this kind of topic? And because this is a story time, guys, like, I'm not going to lie, there's no way we'll not enter into the arena of being petty. But we can't help it. Like, look, our life story is our life story. This is what we experienced. And, if you're like me and you choose to share it, then there's no policing how the information comes out. It is what it is. So I speak about financial abuse. And you know what? I think I should start in like a general sense, right? So prior to my getting married, I had been in a relationship with this person. It was long distance, so I didn't really get to see him. Like, we spent much of the year apart. But then when we were together, it was always like a whole love bombing thing. It was like a honeymoon phase all over again, right? Every single time we would just repeat the honeymoon phase all over again. And with that, we're talking, and again, it's not even that like I'm the kind of person that demanded this from their boyfriend. You must buy this, you must buy that. I wasn't that kind of person. So I was very, very easy. But then even in those instances, like, I couldn't really pinpoint if someone had like a generous spirit about them, because, I guess at that time we're dating long distance. So every time we get to see each other, the love bombing is there. So the cash was flowing, you know. Sometimes the person will even say, I should bring my friends, let's go out, and they will pay for my friends. Sometimes you say he wants to take me shopping, let's go. And I'll be like, oh God, like, let's just be calming down. Like, I'm not used to this kind of, thing. Like, I was very, very uncomfortable, making demands, spending somebody's money. So for the most part, I think I was a very easy girlfriend in that sense. Like, I didn't need much to make me happy. For the most part, just buy me food. And it's not as if it's even anything major. McDonald's, just like, I was pretty chill. And to be honest, even if this person wants to come and talk, they know deep down in their hearts that I did not demand anything from them. So, but I was under the impression that when or if money had to be spent in terms of taking care of me or our family, our soon to be family, I assumed that, okay, I wouldn't have a difficult time getting this money out. I come from a family where my dad carried the bulk of the weight. My mom did bad all by herself, but my dad also did extremely well in business. And so I didn't understand this thing called SAPA. I didn't understand all this whole, okay, oh, yeah. I never got that impression. So I just naturally assumed that when I would get married, that my husband would be flush with cash. It wouldn't be an issue, taking care of our family, giving our family, the life and the experiences of, the kind of life that I grew up having, you know. And it's not even to say that in the family that I grew up, everything was always a bed of roses. And even specifically in this area of finances, like I'll share something very personal in that, like by the time this was 2007, 2008, there was a financial downturn, around the world. And my family too also went through a life change where, I think business for my dad, kind of went down, but not, it wasn't really, I would say, the best. And it's essentially my mom had to step up in terms of taking care of our family. My dad had even moved to Canada with us, being hands-on for my younger brother and my sister who were also in Canada at the time. And so my family too, is not as if we don't know what it is for everybody to, tighten their belt and, live, a very pared down life. So again, I understand what that is. I know that things can change and turn. But the one thing that I always felt in my family was there was a spirit of generosity. It felt like money flowed to me. It felt like, the adults in the room did what needed to be done to make sure that everybody was okay. And so I had that impression too as well. So again, it was a complete shock to me to then get married, and I was having money issues, y'all. Like serious money issues. I didn't know, at first I wasn't comfortable asking because I was just used to, let's say, my dad giving money. But then I realized that with this person that I was with, it's like I had to ask down to the letter that, oh, I want to buy is soap. I want to buy. It was shocking to me. And you know what? Y'all can like, just even clarify, because it's not as if it's not as if I was like a housewife or anything. But like moving back to Nigeria, I had to start all over again. I had spent all these years outside the country. So moving back to Nigeria, I had to go to Nigerian law school. I got pregnant along the way. So that extended my time there for like almost 2 years. I had to defer writing the exams, with my set mates, and I had to write it with the following set. I had to do NYSC. These are things that delayed my ability to be financially independent. So I spent almost 2.5 years completely reliant on this individual. And when I tell you that the shege that I saw there, not only was it unnecessary, it was just, it was shocking to me. And I was all the more confused because I'm just coming from Canada, right? I was just coming from Canada. So I thought that, at first I was confused. I thought, oh, maybe I'm the one that I just don't understand how the Naira works. Maybe I'm getting bad, maybe I'm not pricing things well, maybe I just don't know where to go, but then I just realized that no, it's actually this person that is financially abusing me. So for those of you that are Nigerian, when I use these kinds of terms like, 50K a month, you understand what I mean. So this is us as a couple. This person was giving me 50K a month to take care of both of us' needs, the house, all of that. And I'm just in shock when I think about that right now. Like that was crazy, and it's not to even look down on the money as if, you can't, because I know that there are people that are surviving all across Nigeria for less, but like, come on, like, bring someone from Canada and you're giving them 50K a month to survive. What was even most painful was that, on having our first child, this 50K a month still continued. Like, it was a struggle, honestly, keeping ourselves afloat. My parents used to send me money to take care of my obligations in Canada. I was diverting the funds. The man's father seemed to have a spirit of generosity on him. So I will always be going to their house to go and greet the man so that because once I go there, the man will bring out money, he will give me money, I'll use that one to hold myself and hold all of us in that house until the next time again, So these are just the things that I mentioned to say that, like, look, things were tough in that household, once, my children too were there too, buying off-brand things, buying off-brand formula, buying, just so that, we can make the money extend and stretch. And it's not as if the money was not there too, because this guy will come home every day and he's telling me he's spending this, he's spending that, he's spending this, he's spending that on himself, on his businesses and everything. And I'll be looking at him that, like, that we're struggling in this house. Like, how are you spending all this money buying one horse, saying, oh, you want to do, he said he wants to start selling horses for polo and things like that. Like, I couldn't understand. Like, to me, one of the biggest signs of financial abuse when you're in a relationship is when the finances are chaotic. You don't know what is coming in. You don't know what is going out. You don't know who owns what. That is one of the biggest signs. That when the finances of the family are shrouded in too many blind spots and there's confusion everywhere. You don't know what is what, and it is intentional because you, as someone who is being victimized, you are afraid to ask. You are afraid to say, hey, these are my needs, because they make it seem as if this money thing is such a big issue. They make it seem as if money finances are chaotic, and you're afraid to add in your own little request that, hey, I need money to buy formula, I need money to buy, body care products, things like that. So for me, riding out those 2.5 years of marriage where I had to financially depend on somebody because of, having 2 children back to back within the first 2 years of our marriage, trying to complete Nigerian law school, trying to get through NYSC, all of that, I had to. But I'm just so grateful that the moment my second child was, and to a point where I could actively throw myself into the workforce, within like a month, I got a job in tech, and I just started to just feel more comfortable. I no longer felt like I was living life on the edge, not sure, how to get money, fearing somebody shouting at you because you have a simple request, you have a simple need, fearing being ridiculed, fearing being, being made to feel as if you're just a bad money manager. When in fact, the actual truth is that this person is not giving you enough money to run the needs of the household. We're surviving on a bare bones budget, So that's one of the things too as well to watch out for if you feel like you're being financially abused. Like, is there a sense of fear, and like, are you afraid to ask for money, So I've said all of this to say that this is just the atmosphere I was living in. This is just the vibe that I was enduring. So to get down now to the actual story times, I think I will mention like 3 specific instances that I feel like were just very clear signs that, no, you're not being taken care of in this space. Money is being withheld from you. In fact, money, like someone is actively taking money out of your pocket. So I'll just go ahead and share that now. Okay, so the first one I will mention now is something that happened. I would say the genesis of it was prior to us getting married. About 2 weeks before we got married, I was in Abuja for Nigerian law school doing bar one, and I think around that time was corn season. And I'm not even the kind of person that eats corn like that too. So my roommate really, really loved corn. She used to eat corn a lot. So I think she got me some corn, or we had gone together and we bought some corn. So I got the corn, and Nigerian corn can be very, very, can be very, very hard. So I think I bit down on the corn and I felt it in my teeth, like the bottom row. So the way my teeth are even structured, right? I have two really tiny teeth that look like baby teeth. In fact, the dentists and I are always arguing. They always feel like, no, these are baby teeth. And I'm just like, no, I remember when these teeth came out. These are not baby teeth. But bottom line, they look like baby teeth and they're really, really tiny. And my teeth were like one of my strongest features because, they're really white. In fact, I even feel like they're even a little yellow now, pregnancy and all of that. I feel like it even dulled my teeth a bit. But like my teeth is something that like I used to feel very confident about because they're white and bright and all of that. But bottom line, I took a bite of this corn and I heard it and I was just like, hey, wahala. So it's my two little teeth. If you see like these two tiny teeth down there, I felt them shift. They had kind of uprooted, right? So, I make my way down to Lagos for our wedding. I go to shops. Those of you that know shops, you know that the way those people charge for their for their services. I get to shops and they're like, madam, these teeth, they have disconnected from the root. You're going to have, I forget what it is. Like, you're going to have to replace the teeth. And they wrote a 1 million naira bill for me. Hey God. Don't forget, guys, this is where in the thick of wedding planning, just a couple of days to the wedding. I did not know how to be bringing this kind of bill to my parents. Anyway, what the man said was what he would do is he would cement the teeth. You put like cement on it to stabilize them, but like this is really just a temporary solution. You really should be changing out the teeth. In fact, if you don't change out the teeth, over time, they will start to yellow on you because they're no longer connected to the gum. So if you even, as I've showed you now, you can see that it's a different color from the rest of my teeth because like, this is now about how many years out now? This is like 6 years out or something from that incident. So I didn't really bring this bill to my parents because all the expenses that were already coming out for the wedding or whatever. So we get married. I bring my teeth situation to the attention of my ex, who, as you guys know on the podcast, we refer to as Paulinus. So I'm just going to be saying Paulinus from now. When I say Paulinus, I'm talking about my ex-husband. So, and the first thing Paulinus says to me was that, no, that's I broke the teeth before we got married, so I should carry the bill to my parents, that it has nothing to do with him. I was very shocked by that response. I do not know how to, it's something that I became very, very embarrassed about. Like, here I was already married to this person. How was I going to be I'm married though, and then I'm bringing a bill back to my parents and saying that, well, my tito, this person that I'm married to said that because I broke the teeth before we got married, that the bill actually belongs to you guys and not to him. So I'm not going to lie, I felt completely alone in this situation. I was too embarrassed to meet my parents because they would just be looking at me crazy like, okay, that's such a weird stance to have. And then on the other hand, this is somebody that I'm committed to, that I literally just pledged my life to, abandoning me in this problem, And again, like I've already mentioned, I still had at least 2.5 years before I even got a job because of all the things that I had to do to qualify to work in Nigeria. So that is how I just, it's not something I was able to figure out. Anyway, I get a job. I begin to work, and then I mentioned to Paulinus that, you know what, like this teeth situation is making me uncomfortable. I really I'm going to start saving up to, get this thing done, and, over the years, the price was now even no longer 1 million again. It had been increasing. So I was just like, you know what, like, I think this needs to be resolved. Anyway, in one of this man's love bombing periods, the guy had mentioned that, don't worry, I'll take care of this teeth situation for you. Don't worry. So I left the situation alone. I felt like, okay, you know what, since he said he would help out, I would attend to other situations. I think another year goes by again, right? The SAPA in that house is too much. Where is the time to even be focusing on teeth that are going to cost this one or that one? I mentioned I'm giving birth to children. Each time I want to have my children in Canada, it is a serious battle to the death with this man. And again, all of this that I'm saying, I don't even want to give the impression that I was putting undue financial pressure on anybody. This is something that the man could comfortably afford. Even if he couldn't even, both of us are Canadian citizens both of us are citizens in Canada. We have family in Canada. It's not as if we would have even been spending, exorbitant amounts like some other people that, are just doing the birth tourism thing. I don't have to pay for accommodation, things like that. But this guy, when he says that, no, I must have the children in Nigeria. What's the reason? Blah, 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 blah. In the end, I'll find a way. I'll get to Canada to have my children. So I felt like there were so many other things that were calling my attention in terms of finances that I left the teeth. I just focused on other things. Anyway, one day, this is like 4 years into our marriage now. This guy shows up, he sends about 750K into my account. I became afraid though, because I never have ever seen this man ever do this kind of thing for me before. This guy has never ever done the whole, I'm going to send you this amount of money. I'm going to, I'd gotten so used to the austerity. I'd gotten so used to living on the edge. I'd gotten used to just, relying on my own money and my own funds and what I can do. And, even throughout the time I was married, my parents were still sending me money. So I just relied on just those sources of income. So I became afraid. I went to go and ask him and I say, please, what is this money about? And he was like, oh yes, for your teeth. That just add the rest to it and go and do your teeth kind of thing. And by this time I'd already left the situation. I hadn't checked in, even followed up on what the new pricing was or whatever. So I was like, oh, thank you and all of that. I showed my appreciation. And then I just made it a mental note that, okay, I'll find my way to the dentist and figure out what the new cost is. Let me know what I need to spend and all of that. Guys, it wasn't up to 2 weeks later where this man asked for the money back. He said I should send the money back to him, that he needs it for something urgently, blah, blah, blah. Me, I was just like, I was a bit taken aback. He was like, that since you have not gone to the dentist, that, when I send you money, you better spend it quickly. If not, I'll find another reason to use the money kind of thing. Anyway, he said, don't worry, he'll send it back to me, blah, blah, blah. I transferred the money back to him. And guys, that was the end of that situation. We did not see anything again. It is part of what I mean by the future faking. You deprive someone of something. Someone needs something. You deprive them to the point where the person doesn't even ask again. Then from nowhere, you come from nowhere when you feel like, oh, you want to have a hold over someone. You now give them the very thing you've been depriving them of all this while. Then you give it to them. The person would have shown all the appreciation. You would have gorged on all the adoration and all the thank yous and all of that. Then you now pull a bait and switch on the person. for me, I left that whole situation just feeling very, very confused. Just, not knowing how to feel. On one hand, I'm like, oh, I want to thank him for 4 years later, finally, picking on an issue that was important to me and attempting to help me solve it. But within the space of 2 weeks, you have retracted on the good gesture that you did, and both of us are moving on with life as if it never happened. I am afraid to bring it up again and be like, hey, you said you send the money back, you two, you're acting as if it has, it no longer exists in your mind. And then it leaves the person feeling very, very confused. So this is one instance that I'm mentioning. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to be petty, but it's just part of just the feeling of just feeling sometimes used, feeling sometimes abandoned in your relationship, especially when it comes to your specific needs, right? A lot of the time when you're being abused, you're even afraid to ask for the needs of the family. Talk less of your own specific needs, but then you have to sit there and watch this person spend exorbitant amounts of money on themselves, on pet projects, on the things that concerns them and only them. And so that's why, I'm not even knocking our mothers, when they're always harping on, as a woman, you should have your own money, because they've seen this shege in the hands of our fathers. They have seen it. So they know, look, really not being able to rely on a partner to cover you, to hold your hand, to be there for you, money wise, it is tough. And the funny thing, by the time I even started working, right, this person was able to pull down on my own resources. Things I was not able to do with them when they were the ones earning the money. Then for me, I'm here earning money and the family. And of course, me, I'm happy to do it. I'm pouring my funds into the family, into the things that have to move for our family. And this person is there just guzzling, collecting it, not caring at all, So my heart really does break for us, Sometimes these situations can just look like this is just the setup, this is just how things look, this is just culture or whatever. But a lot of us, are being financially abused, and, we don't even know how to speak up and say that, look, it's not okay. The way I'm being treated, the way I'm being mishandled here is not okay. So that was just the first example. The next example I will mention